In the darkest hours of Israel's history, when the night carried secrets and the wind whispered warnings, a desperate king crossed a forbidden line. This is the story of the Witch of Endor. But to understand this night of shadows, we must begin with a king, standing alone. Saul, the first king of Israel, was once chosen, once anointed, once favored, but pride, fear, and disobedience had torn him from the path God set before him. The prophet Samuel, his guide and mentor, was gone, buried in the cold earth of Ramah. And now, the Philistine armies gathered like a storm on the horizon, their torches burning through the night like a sea of fire. Israel trembled, and Saul trembled most of all. He cried out to God, but heaven was silent. No dreams, no prophets, no answers. A king abandoned by the God he once served, and in that crushing silence, Saul's fear became unbearable. Saul had banished all mediums, all spiritists, all witches from the land, because God commanded it. But fear has a way of making a man break even his own laws. So under the cover of night, Saul disguised himself. The royal robes were gone, the crown set aside, and with only 2 servants beside him, he slipped out of the Israelite camp like a ghost, through rocky hills, through cold, moonlit valleys, through paths no king should walk. He searched for a woman he had once sworn to destroy, a medium, a summoner of spirits, a witch. She lived in a hidden village called Endor, and on this night, Saul would knock on her door. The home was small, lit by a single flickering lamp. Inside sat a woman, old, cautious, and feared by all who knew her name. When Saul entered, still wearing his disguise, she looked at him with suspicion. "What do you want?" she asked. Saul's voice trembled. "Consult a spirit for me, and bring up the one I name to you." Her eyes widened with fear. "You know what Saul has done," she whispered. "He has cut off mediums and spiritists from the land. Are you trying to trap me? To kill me?" Saul stepped forward, and in a moment of desperation, he swore an oath in the name of the Lord. "As surely as the Lord lives, you will not be punished for this." The irony echoed through the room. A king who had disobeyed God, now swearing his name to break God's command. The woman studied him, then slowly nodded. "Who shall I bring up for you?" Saul's answer came like a whisper from a broken heart. "Bring up Samuel." The room grew cold. The lamp flickered violently, then steadied. The woman knelt, her hands trembling as she began her forbidden ritual. She muttered ancient words, words Israel had sworn to silence, words God had forbidden. Then suddenly, a scream. The woman recoiled, terror in her eyes. She stared at Saul, truly stared, and gasped, "Why have you deceived me? You are Saul!" The king's disguise had failed, but before he could respond, the air in the room shifted. Something, or someone, was rising. The woman described what she saw. An old man, wearing a robe, ascending from the earth. Saul fell to his knees, face to the ground, because he knew. Samuel, the prophet he had disobeyed, the man who had anointed him king, was standing before him once more. Samuel's voice came like the echo of judgment. "Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up?" Saul's voice cracked. "I am in great distress. The Philistines are attacking. God has turned from me and answers me no more. So I have called on you to tell me what to do." There was a heavy silence. Then Samuel spoke, with words that cut deeper than any sword. "The Lord has turned from you and become your enemy. You did not obey his voice. You rejected his command. Now, the Lord will tear the kingdom from your hands and give it to David." The room darkened. The lamp flickered. Samuel's voice dropped to a chilling whisper. "Tomorrow, you and your sons will be with me, and the Lord will deliver Israel into the hands of the Philistines." The prophecy struck Saul like a blow. He collapsed to the ground, weak, shaking, unable to speak. The king of Israel, reduced to a trembling shadow of the man he once was. Seeing the king broken and faint, the woman approached him, not as a witch, but as a human being. "Let me give you food," she said softly. "You must regain your strength." It is a strange twist of fate that the king who persecuted her now depended on her kindness. She prepared a meal, bread and a calf she hurried to slaughter. Saul ate in silence, then rose slowly to his feet. The night outside was darker than before, and as he stepped into that darkness, the prophecy echoed in his mind. "Tomorrow, you and your sons will be with me." Saul returned to the battlefield, but not to victory. The prophecy unfolded exactly as spoken. Israel fell, Saul's sons were slain, and the king who once stood tall among God's chosen fell upon his own sword. The story of the Witch of Endor is a reminder, a warning whispered through the ages, that a man can lose battles, but his greatest loss is losing the voice of God. And in the desperate silence that follows, even a king can find himself kneeling at the door of a witch in the night. If this story inspired you, like, subscribe, and comment how it touched you. This is Bible Testaments Untold.